Hey guys, welcome to the 5th installment of the Genesa ThoughtLab podcast. This time we feature Frequent and Evoke, who we had for New Year's, and we had an amazing time sitting down with them. We also did something a little different in that this time we had an audience, so there was a large-ish group of people sitting at the back of the room, somewhat providing feedback every now and again.
We also had a horrendous audio glitch. We had all of our studio recorded mic audio just garbage. We chose the wrong buffer size. We were experimenting, trying to work around the glitch that we were having, and ultimately it ruined the entire microphone recording from the entire podcast. So unfortunately, this is the lowest quality audio of the podcast that we've done because we're just using the audio recorded from the camera at the back of the room. So it wasn't too bad. I mean, Alden and Nolan and Callie, their voices project pretty well. I come up a little quiet because I'm kind of a pussy with that here and there. But I assure you that we are no longer using like the same system, and we're not using this camera anymore. We lost the last 5 minutes of video as well because it's either the card filling up or the battery's going. It just doesn't want to work with us. So it wasn't bad though. It was the best one we had in terms of like the most fun to record. It was the most fun conversation, most fluid. I had a blast doing this one. So even though we lost all of the studio recorded microphone audio, I really wanted to release it.
The content was well enough in itself that we figured it was worth releasing. So if you can tolerate poor quality audio.
Yeah, if you can tolerate our fuck-ups, then please enjoy this one, Frequent and Evoke. See you later.
The Genesa ThoughtLab video podcast.
We're here with a live audience this evening, which is exciting. Everybody just slightly wave up. There we go.
It's the day
Excellent.
before New Year's. Too bad we can't really plug the New Year's show because this isn't going to come out until after. But
You should retroactively go to it, though.
Yes.
For sure.
Go back.
Listen to this and then go back and do it again.
It'll be so much fun. We'll want to do it twice.
Definitely. All right, we're live. We're here with the wonderful Callie
Ah.
and the effervescent Alden Groves. Evoke.
I also exist. Hi.
And for the first time here,
What's my adjective?
your adjective, legendary.
Legendary.
I was gonna say
I'm just
legendary.
effervescent. How come he gets to be legendary?
Effervescent is such, it's so fluent of a word though.
Yeah. I bet that you tell that to all the boys.
We forgot to start the video, so there's some pretty shit to look at.
Oh, just hit the space bar there, Nolan, would you?
I got you.
But yeah, this
Excellent.
is what, the 5th iteration of this silly podcast?
5th attempt, really.
5th attempt. But we just bullshit in the basement, and we do
Is that what it's called?
That should be it.
No, actually,
Yes!
we don't have a name for it, but that is a good name.
Yeah.
We kind of have a name for it, but I don't really like it.
What is
I
it?
don't know.
Genesa ThoughtLab.
That's how you say it, is Genesa? I never knew how to say
I know,
it.
and
I could've told you that.
that's an issue that
We kind of have
tends
to
to
have
happen.
we should have an episode where we talk about the origin.
So this is
of
the
that word.
episode we're talking about how it is Genesa, not Genesa.
Genesa.
Not Genesa.
It doesn't.
I thought it was
It does matter.
Or Genesa? Perhaps?
Actually, I
Genesa.
have a pair of like those Bluetooth headphones, and whenever I turn it on, it's like connected to Genesa phone.
You name your shit after you, that's so lame.
It's like the bat phone. Come on.
It's too much.
All right. Well,
Anyway, welcome.
I'm pretty stoked on this because we have two of our favorite fucking producers. Honestly,
So kind.
like this show is a bit of a dream for us because we have 4 of our favorite artists, and that's why I didn't want to be like too responsible for everything throughout the night because I want to enjoy this one. So things are shaping up for
You're making me nervous.
24 hours.
No big deal with this. I've waited my whole life for this.
Well, no, it's big for us because it's the biggest crowd we're gonna have. It's the biggest crowd we've had.
And it's crazy too because like this style of music, like the neuro side and like bass music, has really been getting a name for itself in our specific town. Like
Calgary was on a list just recently I saw where it was like the top 10 cities of like up and coming, like the biggest things in bass music. And Calgary was on it, yeah. I remember when we contacted Josh, like Z, to bring you out in March. Even he said he was just here for Savant or something because I think he manages him as well.
Yeah, he does.
And he was like, man, I was just in Calgary. Like, fuck yes, like, let's do this.
Yeah.
It's rad up there.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked to be back. Couldn't wait to get back.
Just like home.
You're basically more like home than home.
which actually, funny enough, considering the fact of being back, we happen to have a belonging of yours.
Oh my!
You know what I told him? Yeah.
Ah.
The sweater that you forgot about.
The most important hoodie to me.
You first forgot, you're just like, fuck it.
It has the best headphones ever.
I'm sure it does.
They're legendary.
Came with the hoodie.
They almost work too.
It's the drawstrings are earbuds.
That's so sweet.
It's genius.
Yeah.
You're like, you guys can keep it.
Take
It's like,
it if you
this is
want.
like an extra large. It doesn't fit either of us.
It doesn't fit me either. I can't remember how I ended up with it. It just appeared in my
Stole it
life.
off the person.
Yeah, right.
I told you not to tell that story.
Suddenly, my balmy November jacket was pickpocketed, and I had no idea until it was too late. Just stripped right off my body. I had no idea.
Man, I have the gift.
Ah, yes, jelly beans.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Hit these jelly beans.
All right, we wrote down some things to talk about.
All right, talk
Topics.
us. Let's hear
Not
it.
that we need them. I mean, we could just bullshit for an hour.
What's the difference, man? What's the difference?
Callie.
Well, really, it's been almost a year
No, it
now.
was March, so 9 months.
Yeah, almost a year now
Could have
since.
had a baby.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking.
Hypo-
Came back and I was 9 months pregnant.
That was unexpected. Just kind of wanted to reflect on the last show a little bit and
Yeah.
wanted to ask like where you've been and what you've been doing and how you think things have been going for you recently.
So, last show I was here, I had my crazy power glove, right?
Totally.
And that was cool looking. It didn't do much. So basically with the live show, I've stripped it down a lot to the point where I'm not even really DJing that much. It's more just a focus on the performance. I'm playing tracks, instrumental versions, and then just singing and now rapping, which was in the video prior, which I have no idea how that happened, but it's something I can apparently do. And so that's been the major change actually. It's just I feel like I've just been trying to become more dynamic as a vocal performer, and just trying to focus really on making that solid.
And the signature portion of your act, right?
Right. Yeah.
Your performance,
Yeah.
which
So
was
I think
killer last time. It was
It's
amazing.
gonna be a lot better this time. I
So excited.
just a few months ago was opening for Crywolf in Denver.
Yeah.
And for the first time, because I remember after the show, I told you guys, I was like, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. That wasn't. And you guys were like, it was good, it was fine. I was like, oh, I was freaking out. After the after the one in Denver where I was opening for Crywolf, for the first time I was like, that was really good. I did good just now. And so I think I'm optimistic about this one. I'm
Good.
feeling like it's gonna be good.
See it again. We had same conversation we had before we had Defunk on the podcast. We also had Dave Long Short Talk on the podcast, and the same point has been brought up. Where as a performer, while you're performing in a live setting, you tend to think that you didn't do your best, or you fucked this up, or you fucked that up. You go up and talk to anybody after the show, and they're like, "No, I didn't hear anything. It was absolutely amazing." You are your
Sound
own.
wasn't even on.
I wasn't even doing anything. It was pre-recorded, I swear. But you are your own worst critic in that regard, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's I feel like you need that. I feel like that's where great creativity and artistry comes from, is from not being happy with the thing you just made, so you want to make a better thing. And if you keep doing that, you keep getting better. You know what I mean?
Well, you see
The
that
point at
in-
which you're satisfied is the point at which you stop getting better,
You
and
see
then you
that
plateau.
in business, you see that in all sorts of different things. If you get to that point where you're just I have no room to grow. I'm the best that I can be. Martial arts, anything.
Yeah, people think
That's
they
where
want that, but
yeah.
you don't want that at all.
That feeling is where you've actually lost.
Right.
You need to continually be striving. You need to at least, it's that humility of respecting that you always have something to learn.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I'm glad that we could get you out here for another show. And
Yeah, I'm really
further
excited.
hone the
I was really stoked when you guys messaged me and was like, "Hey, come back." I was like, yes. All right, I will be there.
Josh, your
tomorrow.
agent was super stoked too. He, like when we first sent the email, he was like, "This is fantastic. Yeah, let's do it again." It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm excited that there'll be video as well.
Yeah, absolutely. River is absolutely amazing. Him and Jim work together. They do a lot of the videos for a lot of the Western Canadian music festivals, like the recaps.
Yeah, actually, Jim put the video together for the last show, the March one, but he kind of bombed in there a little bit. I think he had just come back from Costa Rica and came down to the show and shot a bunch of footage, and he wasn't like on, he got there a little bit late. But this time, yeah, we've got River is going to be doing the videography, and Jim, who's now in Victoria, right? Yeah, he's going to be editing it. So
That's
cool.
a mad shout out to Rebel Cause.
yeah, Rebel Cause and Motion Films. These guys are fucking awesome. They've been doing like really good festival recaps, and it's a kind of a cool way to go out to a festival. Just come out there with a camera and just continually. You have backstage access to everything, just so that you can get all the best content. Like watching him float around a festival. It's kind of a cool way to do it. But actually, I remember for Astro Harvest, he was commissioned to do a video that was scheduled to drop like immediately after the festival. So he was shooting and editing. Like he'd be in the kitchen area, and he'd be like editing video. Like he was just so overworked. But
Yeah, that's great. Like video editing, I used to do those vlogs and stuff.
Yeah.
It takes so long, and especially like if you don't have like a really nice computer for it, it's just like you spend so much time rendering, and then you're like, oh, the audio's slightly out of sync, so you move it over, and then render, and it's just like, oh, it's the worst.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we gave him a sweater. You can cross that off.
What were you guys doing this point last year? What was your New Year's like at this point last year?
Oh my god. That is a good question. I don't know, man. I haven't even really been like playing any shows that much until like recently. Before this, all I've been doing is like playing shows over in LA with these guys, Noise Revolt. They're like this little collective, kind of similar to this actually. They're really cool guys over there. But I was kind of just like going and playing for them, and then like doing a couple things locally, but really not that much. And then recently, I've just gotten like a lot of cool opportunities, like to go to Puerto Rico. I got to play a drum and bass set out there, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
And then like out of the blue, Alden hits me up. He's like, "Yo, you want to go like play New Year's in Canada?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
No, absolutely not. Sounds like a terrible time.
So like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been doing that much, and like I haven't really been pursuing shows that much because I haven't really figured out a way to like move my live performance past just like a DJ set, which is what I kind of want to do. But like all these really cool things have been falling into my lap, and I haven't really been able to pass up like that kind of opportunity, and like
it pushes you to break those barriers.
Yeah, absolutely. And like coming here and seeing what all you guys, because I came in kind of blind, like not really knowing, and then like we were looking at like the light setups you guys are gonna have for tomorrow night, and like the video guy you got coming in, and like all the production that's going into it, and it's like it's really impressive, and I'm like super stoked to be here.
Don't fuck around.
No, we fuck around on a pretty. But
It's all a farce.
Just the right amount.
It all comes together in the end, so.
I'm excited. I can't believe it's like 24 hours away.
Yeah, man. It's
That's kind of insane.
Actually, it was funny, just like, there's always like this kind of anticipation leading up to, especially like picking artists up from the airport, where it doesn't feel real until it's like, oh my god, these people are like actually.
We were just talking about that. Like, we were just saying, I was saying like, for me, like what I have to do to not be freaked out by shows, just be like, yeah, it's totally normal. Of course I'm playing for 500 people. Like, whatever, man. Like, it's not even a big deal. And he was like, for me, like, what are you saying?
It was just like, it doesn't even really seem like a thing until you're like at the event, and like 5 minutes before you go on stage, it's like, oh shit, like.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to know that it's the same way on both sides.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be like the people who made the entire thing, and you climb out here and you're like, here's the thing we made.
And that's the thing, it's like you guys coming in being nervous at the same time. Like for us, it's like we're bringing in our favorite artists and our favorite producers, so there's always that little element of like super fan. Oh my god, we get to meet them, and then you show up at the airport and like you have to calm yourself and be like, hello, my name is Callie, this is where we'll be taking you. And
I feel like, like You know, actually, you remember when we first like met up and we were like being super professional?
Yeah.
Like when Nolan and I first met, like what that would have been like 2 years ago, right? 3 even?
Yeah, so long ago.
2 or 3 years ago,
You
and we
guys
like
are
met up.
already married.
When was?
Yeah, we are. Well, yeah, so we didn't talk about it. We were gonna make the announcement later. So like we met and like he picked me up in his car and we were just like talking. We were like having like a very formal like, so like how long have you been producing?
No, like
and then
music strictly, like nothing.
and then like as we got into the track, we both got loopier and loopier. And eventually we were just like making like frog noises at each other. It was brilliant.
I feel the exact same way, like in March. Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
it's just like, oh my god, okay, this is, and then like an hour later, we were just, yeah,
Making
Not
runs
even.
violently.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
Portal. Lots of Portal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Lots of what?
Lots of Portal.
Friendship
Portal?
story.
Oh,
We had
yeah.
upstairs, before the upstairs room was like a mad office room, we had like a super shoddy video game setup.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Those were the days, man.
Those were the days. What about you? What were you doing New Year's last year?
Hoping that the year would be awesome, mostly. Like, I mean, I feel like that's what you do every year, right? Like, 'cause you're like, this is the year. And I was like,
I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna get super buff and
I'm doing that.
ah.
I'm a gym goer now. I put on 10 pounds in the past 2 months.
But you don't boast about it on Facebook.
Yeah, no, I'd only boast about it on podcasts.
There you go. That's
it.
the key.
You save it for podcasts. That's the rule.
Nice, perfect
Um,
execution.
But so I had, this past year, I had this plan. I was trying to get out to LA. And I was like trying to go there, and my dad was like, I got you. And then I got halfway there, and my dad was like, psych. And then so I like,
You told me about that.
yeah, so I packed everything up in my car and drove like back from Arizona, which was how far I made it, and was staying with my mom. And then some stuff happened with her, and so like I was basically just like bouncing around from house to house, living in my car for a bit, and like it sounds like it would be really bad, but I've made some of the best music in that experience, and like now I'm staying with my friend's family temporarily, and like I actually have like a studio, which I've never had like a studio. My microphone is always in the same room that I sleep in, and so I can like I put all my like acoustic padding up on the walls because of course that came with me in the car. Like takes up like 50% of my car space, but it's like I'm not leaving the foam padding behind. And it's like I'm actually like writing, in my opinion, like my best music, just like by virtue of being exposed to all these like different environments and people and like experiences, and just like being able to go from place to place and being able to like record in a bunch of different rooms. It's been like a blessing in disguise.
I hear like even people in like the parenting situation, they speak about how like they grew up with this great adversity to craft it into this unique person, and they never want to change that. But then when you have children and you try and pad their life and make it like super, you know, I don't want them to
Don't
have
do
any
what I
hardship,
did.
but there's that double-edged sword. You're like, no, like I'm fucking them up, like I'm ruining them.
Yeah.
Like, you kinda
Let them climb the tree and
where's
fall
the balance of how much do I let them screw up and, you know, have that hardship in their life so that they have some character later on? It's kind of interesting the way that.
Lest you get the little 6-year-old boys running around with their pants halfway down their ass. Oh,
Is that a reference to something, or is that just like
No,
life?
it's just it's a thing I've seen. The internet is a strange place.
Probably got you on a list of some kind.
So yeah, that all happened since March, in between.
Yeah, I mean, that would have mostly started happening, I guess, like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So like that was like it all sort of like cascaded into me being like I don't know where I'm gonna be, but like this has helped a lot actually. Like the show and a couple other shows that I've been booked for has like kind of helped, and so it's like it's evening out now, and I'm a little nervous that it's evening out because I'm like, but this music is so good.
Yeah.
Like I'm like maybe I should just like kill somebody. Hypothetically speaking, of course.
So I'm just gonna leave.
I'll just leave that on the table.
So then how, like, even like referring to last New Year's or even like the last year in itself, like where were you guys at this point, like artistically and musically a year ago?
Played footsie.
Hello.
Yeah.
Just get relaxed.
What would I have released a year
I
ago?
mean, a year ago, like, I don't know, I'm kind of just, like, always on the same track. Like, I'm just kind of trying to, like, develop my sound as much as I can. And, like, the last year, I haven't released jack, really. Because I've just been, like, working so much on a lot of different things and, like, trying a lot of different stuff. And so, I mean, I've always, like, had my heart in neuro, so I've been doing a lot of neuro stuff and a lot of the heavier stuff. But then I've also, like, been exploring a lot of more, like, experimental, like, IDM sort of stuff. And so I don't know. I've really been working to get a bunch of stuff done, and I had a whole album started, and like I was like 6 tracks in, and then this whole thing happened with my computer. I had to like reformat it because it was like barely even functioning anymore.
I don't know what that is like whatsoever.
Like I basically like I had to fucking wipe it and put it all on a hard drive, and then when I tried to get everything back, like all of my projects were fucked up, and only that, like everything else on my computer was fine, and then like all of my Ableton projects, it didn't save all of the like custom audio files that I had made, like so like anything I had synthesized or processed was just like gone. Any like freeze
So
versions.
everything in your music.
Yeah, so I don't know, I lost a bunch of work, and so I've been trying to like recover everything from these old rendered versions, but like I don't know, that whole time I mean I was sad that I lost a lot of things, but that whole time I really like
Impermanence.
learned a lot about impermanence. But yeah, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. I've just been doing the same shit, and then I was in high school, so like I don't know, I had tons of time senior year, and like I wish I spent more of it on music, but I did get a lot of stuff done, and like yeah, I've just been working on
crazy.
helping myself.
I remember being so surprised, like digging into your music. It was actually I found it was the album Fluidity.
Yeah, with him.
Yeah, it was that was my first exposure to both of your music, and I remember.
How'd you come across it? Do you remember?
It was that album. It was through Beatport.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were just looking through.
It was either suggested from an album I was looking at, or I can't remember why.
Huh.
The album art was phenomenal.
Which
And,
is
the
by
color
Hunter.
balance.
Oh yeah, Hunter did that.
That's by his old roommate, who like did all of the and that was on our label,
Yeah.
and that was like.
So we can thank Hunter for
We
this
can thank
in a
Hunter
weird sort of
for-
way.
Shout out to Hunter.
It definitely
Shout out to Hunter.
It drew me in, and I remember like listening through it, and I got really stoked on the album. It was what four tracks?
four tracks I think.
And about 3 or 4 days later, after like listening to the shit out of them, I was
Right.
like, I need to dig in. 'Cause every so often, you see another name as like a feature,
Right.
or you see like a collaboration, and I loved your elements of those tracks so much that I was like, I need to rip the fucking pages out. I need to go dig into whoever this is.
And at that
And I was
point,
so stoked on that as well.
At that point, we were just trying to think of our next show, which was
Yeah.
at that time last year in March.
Okay.
When we knew that we wanted to bring Cursa, we had already been in touch with him, and we were like, we could do this as like a
Yeah.
double headliner kind of thing. Like, who the hell else do we want to bring? And Tanner was like, let's bring Evoke, and I was like,
Yeah.
do you really think that'll fit?
Oh, definitely, and it was a wonderful fit.
Yeah,
Super
I had so much fun, man. It's a great crowd here too. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, Calgary's so.
I was telling
don't
him
know if I could
like in the U.S. or like at least in Colorado, nobody likes drum and bass at
Yeah,
all.
it's a
like it
very-
plays and
Calgary's
people are just like
huge for
people are
drum
just
and
like,
bass.
Yeah.
they, like,
Yeah,
nod their head.
Calgary and
It
BC.
kills me, man. It kills me. Like there is certainly a drum and bass scene in Denver, but like nothing close to anywhere else.
Well,
like,
we're competing tomorrow night. We're also competing with we have a crew
Bachelors
here
of
called-
Science.
Yeah, 403 DMV. Like 403 is our area code here, so it's
Okay,
the
awesome.
here. And they have Bachelors of Science coming in.
But the thing is, though, is like
It's gonna
it's
be a
it's
solo show
still
as well.
two different kinds of crowds. Like
Right.
the neuro and kind of glitch hop mid tempo
Yeah,
scene
yeah,
has made
yeah,
enough
yeah.
of a name for itself that. Yes, there's a drum and bass show. There's other house shows. There's techno shows.
yeah.
There's the
There's a
big
big room
EDM
house show.
shows. You know, with
Where we
Sander
have
Van Dorn and
thousands of
stuff.
people.
And then we have what we're going for, which is there's nothing else happening like it in the city
Right,
as far
right,
as
yeah,
we've seen.
Absolutely.
well,
So-
we tried to get this one announced early enough to.
We announced it like 2 months
stay,
early at
stay
least.
ground a little, be like, this is the thing, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with like other crews, like Subtrucker. They they throw shows in Calgary, like they kind of harness that like
Deep
that deep
dubby.
roots dubstep, like
Mid-tempo.
really,
like festival music type.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
festival like.
Yeah.
like West Coast
Right.
music festival vibes.
and Philisonic and Vinsky, like we wanted, and Flowsidey from Edmonton, we wanted to try and like get a show put together and try and gather and like inspire more of a collaboration, get everybody together to do one thing rather than like splitting it up and scattering the crowd.
Like competing with other events.
Yeah, it is really the only reason that we were able to do this. We wouldn't. I don't think we could pull off a show of this size any other time than New Year's or maybe like Halloween, like those nights where everybody goes out and party.
Right.
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 Yeah.
So.
And it's tough for this kind of show where it's like everybody's doing something on New
Right.
Year's or everybody's
Yeah.
doing something on Halloween. Like how do you set yourself apart from other promoters, right? So
Yeah, it's an interesting lineup too.
Yeah, it's really diverse.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Mochi Pet hasn't really been on on the radar for the past couple of years. But
I hadn't heard of him, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
Yeah.
like 3-4 years ago, I remember he was as he was kind of as big as the Glitch Mob.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's been around for a decent amount of time, and like as soon as we announced it, there was so many like a lot of like the old school ravers that we know within our scene just be like, oh my god, Mochi
Right,
Pet, are you
yeah.
for real? We're like, yep.
Plus, I don't know if you looked into it, but he's going to be performing in a little Godzilla onesie.
Yeah, man.
He's
Yeah.
just like super cute, tiny little dude just
Yeah, he's-
performing in a Godzilla onesie.
That's next level.
Purple as
We
hell.
we were gonna theme the whole main stage after the whole Godzilla thing, but like I got a little bit into that, and I thought, man, that is super cliche. I don't want to go there. So I'm really happy. I would like to give a shout out to Beeple in some way, like one of
Yeah.
the most incredible
Yeah.
visual medium artists that I've ever known, and we've themed all of our stuff, the promo and the main stage design, which I'm really excited to see it
Animated
actually a thing, because it's only been kind of
concept. So
Nebulous.
far.
Yeah, it's been
Well, and that's the
very
thing when we
effervescent.
We could say it's even legendary.
when like Bima Visuals are the cats who do the visuals for the Pagoda stage, Fractal Forest,
I
and
don't
the
know what those
Village.
are.
I know. 3 different.
Really?
Yeah.
Surely you jest.
Three different massive stages at Shambhala. So they're all
Oh, nice.
entirely custom video mapped, and they create custom visuals for
They,
it. When we've brought them on for previous shows, it's just been that we set up something and then
Yeah.
they'll map to
And
it
so
and then
they'll-
just throw random stuff on. Now they are actually creating custom visuals for us. We've sent them to the dimensions for everything that we're working with.
Well, even when they improv'd it, it looked
Oh,
great.
absolutely. You
know,
can
like-
never.
Well, have you seen the previous stage and the new stage that Excision is touring with?
I've heard about them a lot. A lot of
Yeah,
people
you
have been
gotta
like,
check that
have you
out.
seen it?
Bima's very heavily involved in that as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah.
they're just wizards. They're amazing, and it's super cool. And not only do we have people like Bima Visuals in Calgary, but we have PK Sound. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the speakers were born here, and
What kind of sound do you guys have
Yeah, that's a
in
good
Denver? Is there? You chuckle.
I mean, if you mean in my studio,
No,
Right.
I mean
Oh,
like
okay.
like in like a live show setting.
Beta
like,
has function ones.
Yeah.
So
Beta's great.
that's sick, but I hate Beta as a place. So
yeah, just the layout of it is really.
it's weird
It's
and
wrong.
super
It's just somehow
clubby
super
and
wrong.
like I don't know. Like I went to see Cone Sound there, and like
oh,
yeah.
which was awesome, but like some like rando headliner was there and he was just playing like heavy dubstep and like literally twice as many people for just this like resident opener, and then as soon as Cone Sound comes on,
What?
like everyone just kind of dips and like this,
I kind of liked that.
which was awesome because
More
like
space for
More
you.
space,
yeah,
exactly.
it was sweet. But
Jump
like,
around.
and they like closed with a bunch of drum and bass and stuff, and it was really sick. But like, nobody there was down,
nobody cared.
except for those who were actually there for Cone.
Well, it's like the best sound system, like literally one of the best sound systems in the U.S. is
Yeah,
wasted
yeah.
on just like
Yeah. Well,
like the same trap songs.
Function One is funny though because like we up here, especially in Western Canada, we have PK and it's dialed in for heavy bass music.
Right.
Yeah.
The Grove at Shambhala is the only stage that uses a Function One system, and they represent it amazingly.
Yeah, they
It is an
represent it well.
amazing system. However, there is an experience that we had here in Calgary. I don't want to name the club because that would be mad
it's not even
talking
worth
shit.
mentioning. It's not even a full function one system. They only have tops.
They only have the tops,
So-
but it's like it's the fact that what drew us there was like, hey, they have these Function One tops. I want to
Yeah.
hear how it's represented in a club.
Right.
They have to be
It's
kept up by a sound technician at all times. Like, they're so much more finicky than
Right.
PK speakers are to just maintain. And
Right.
they pretty much
PK's
like
very
bought
fired
the
for that.
Function One tops and just threw them on the ceiling, just being like, hey, we have Function One.
Right.
It was
And
unfortunate
sounded like
because
shit.
like it's almost like you want to just not have them there because you don't want that brilliant product being represented like shit.
Mm-hmm.
On
Well,
a,
right.
On a daily basis.
I had a similar conversation with like Mr. Bill,
Yeah.
where I was listening to his monitors and I was like, oh man, these are amazing because he has like really
yeah,
nice
his
monitors.
monitors are ridiculous.
And I was like, oh man, I would love to get a set of these. He was like, don't do it if you don't have like a good studio for it, like because these monitors in a bad room are gonna sound so much worse than cheap monitors in a bad room,
Right.
because like they're so accurate that if you get it like even a little bit wrong, like if your room has like bass traps and stuff like that in the corners, it's just gonna sound like garbage.
Wow.
So he was like, I mean, unless you can spend X amount of money on a studio, I was like, that's the end of that sentence. Like,
Dollars.
yeah.
I imagine Bill's got a pretty nice studio. I mean,
Yeah.
To be able to crank out music at the rate that he does, you even, Like,
Yeah, I mean,
production
I
is
can't. It's
powerhouse.
so obnoxious how much faster you can produce than me, dude.
well, it's like
So annoying.
we just have such different processes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I don't do. I mean, the main difference I feel like in my workflow compared to most producers is like, I don't care as much about the detail work like in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather like make the skeleton of section A and then the skeleton of section B and then the skeleton of section Z and like flesh out the whole thing. And so I'll finish the like full concept of a song in hours, like 3-4 hours, usually.
Yeah.
And then like, I'm just really not that into just like detailing that much, which is like producer taboo. Like that's the thing you're supposed to like doing.
So the chore for you is the refinement.
Yeah, but not that, because I love the like refinement in terms of like mix, but I'll do that later. You know what I mean? I'll just like be like, okay, like vomit idea for like X amount of minutes, and then later I'll be like, okay, like dial in everything. But I'm not into just like playing the same, like you do this thing where you like
One
we'll
loop
play
for
this like
5 hours. We're getting
Hello,
it
I hear
perfect.
you, brother.
And then we can duplicate, and then we can start that loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that to say that when you choose to sit down and start a song, you already have an entire concept laid out in your head, and then you blurb it out?
No.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
He
It's
just
like
will,
I was
like,
gonna say, that's
start-
magic as fuck.
So like right before we came out here, we were like rehearsing for some of the stuff that we're gonna do in the set, which is gonna be awesome, by the way.
I'm super
I
stoked
doubt
for
it.
that.
And by it's actually gonna suck a lot. But we decided, because we haven't started a track together in ages, we were like, let's just throw something down. And so like I had this little loop that I started, and I pass it off to Alden, and he just writes like, I give him like 20 minutes with it. He just writes like an entire intro and then like 8 bars of a drop. And I was like, okay, sweet. Well, we can work with it. And so like, that's when I went in and started like doing all the detail stuff, which starts like really complicating things. But just like how fast you can get a concept down is like, it's just not how I work at all. But
So
it's
then-
so efficient.
I guess let me rephrase the previous question. Maybe not necessarily that you just have an entire idea and you blurb it out. Do you just like kind of then throw some kicks and throw some snares down, just like hope it works out, and then if you hate it later, go back and revise it?
So, I have like my Ableton. So you can set up a template, right?
Yep.
I have it set up to where, and this is something I learned from Ilgates actually, where I'll have a drum rack even with
Lacking a drummer.
with like kicks, snares, and claps, and I've already sorted them out to be ones that I really like. So I have a knob that just switches between 128 different kicks, 128 different snares, 128 different claps, and
So
so I
every
just
time-
like at any time I just scroll between. I'm like, okay, I like that. Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that. And then I have a drum track, and then I use Superior Drummer for like percussion and hi-hats pretty much always, and then I have a bunch of Foley stuff. So like I use the same elements every time, because to me like that's not what makes the song. You know what I mean? Like I've been using the same template since Neuro Pop, and to me that is like. I like it because it expedites a process like that I don't consider important. That's not to say that it's not important. I personally happen to not care. I don't want to make my own kick drum. I don't want to make my own snare. I would rather make a song. That's definitely my focus. Is like I don't care how it gets done. I just want it to get done. I care about the end result.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it's very much just like okay, throwing everything that I know I kind of like at the wall to see what sticks, and then just adjusting, and then just like throwing notes down, throwing a vocal track down, and then it's done.
Throwing it at the wall until it sticks. I just remember like those little squishy like hand toys. That, like,
Yeah, that's actually my biggest
slingshot.
inspiration.
That's where I get all my music from.
Yes.
It's like splat. No, but that's cool though. Like I can totally appreciate the fact that like you might not need to make your own like core sounds and core samples, but you still come up with something that is so original and so unique that it is yours anyway.
Well, that is a hang up too. I've known people where they're so hung up on like, no, I have to craft every single
That's
piece.
me. That's
right?
I am that
Yeah.
guy.
But
But it
I'm
shows,
literally
though.
sitting there before I got Superior Drummer, which I swear by now. Oh my god, get that plugin if you don't have it and you make music. But I was sitting there like in like one of Ableton's basic synths operator, and I was literally like synthesizing my own drum hits
Yeah.
and like saving them all, and then like going and like making like 20 different bass samples, which all take like an hour to resample down, and then saving all of those.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, man, it gets kind of unruly after a while, because there's a certain point where like you can't make it from scratch anymore. And
Yeah.
like I'm not even really against using samples. I just like want to start making stuff that's like completely unique to me,
Yeah.
like something that like people could never really replicate without.
And it shows.
Right.
It definitely
Yeah.
shows
Thank
in your
you.
sound and in your
Man,
music. Both
honestly,
of you guys.
that how did that Porter Robinson remix come in your lap? Like that was. I don't think I've heard really anything like that track. It stands so far alone.
That track was the bane of my existence for like 8 months, but so
8 months.
7 months, something like that, something absurd.
That's
like
still a long time.
It was unruly. But how that came together is I went to his show. He played in Denver. Where did he play? He played like the Fillmore or something. I don't remember, but I remember he had like some of the hits of that track, specifically like the first one, mapped out to like a drum pad. And like he built up to it and he didn't even play the drop. He just like paused for a second and then just sat there and like smashed that one bass sound like 10 times. And I like the way it sounded in that room was just so like holy fucking
Just reminds
shit.
me of like
what
Big
is
Room
that
House
noise?
with that like.
Yeah. Like
What have you done?
it was just so intense and so like sound designy. And then he played the rest of the drop and like I love that track, but I just wanted to hear that sort of like insanely distorted sound design in a context that wasn't house. And so I of course like went and just like dropped like the MP3 into Ableton and started like a loop. But like it's way easier to do like bootleg remixes like that because the entire drop's already written, so you literally just like trying to cut different sections. So I did that and then I just started like needing to add more and more of my own stuff, and so like I started building all of these different things, like incorporating my different bass sounds and like started like an intro and stuff. And then my friend Trevor Waldriff, who plays cello, has been playing cello for like forever. And he has this super sweet electric cello, and so I was like, alright, we're gonna record it. And so we did is we like routed it through the interface, and then we had an air mic, so just like a microphone that recorded the sound of him like actually like playing the cello.
Yeah.
And so like it took forever. We did like 100 takes of him just like trying all these random cello melodies and like recording them out and like
Chelides?
I was gonna say.
Drink.
Yes.
I'll drink my empty glass of water.
But yeah, so basically like that part finally came together with him writing that cello line, and then that was what like made me push to finish the entire track. And like I really wanted it to be like inspired by kind of like film sound design, because that's something I've been interested in for a long time. And you watch movies and like certain sequences have all these like really crazy like mechanical sounds, and like if you listen to a movie, I mean it's so easy to just bypass the audio and just think like, oh, all that's just there, but you don't realize that every single one of those sounds, especially in like sci-fi movies or something like that, like all of that is being made by somebody
Yes.
and imposed, because none of those sounds just like exist.
That's one thing I
So,
really adore about Dave Tipper.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
That's one of his passion projects on the side, or like he makes like
He's a sound designer.
sound
Not even
designer
take
for,
the
like,
Foley,
for
make the
films
Foley.
and commercials and movies, and like he works that fabric of just that ambiance. Of,
Yeah,
like,
dude, and you can hear it in his
Yeah.
music, because
Oh,
he
God.
can create like an entire world
Oh
around
man,
you.
Forward Escape. I mean, like
Yes.
the album cover.
Entirely.
This is the album cover.
Yeah.
Dude, I have the video of him rapping when we were practicing for the set. That
Yeah.
I have an Android of
Right.
Monarch, but
like
yeah.
Can we just become best friends?
the visual imagery that album creates, like when
It's
you listen
insane.
to it,
Yeah.
just throw your headphones on and shut your mind off. It just creates these water worlds, like this incredible.
Definitely a lot of influence from Tipper, like
Yeah.
no doubt.
Oh, for sure.
And like I don't know. I mean, I want to go. I obviously not going for like an exactly Tipper vibe at all, but like just that concept of like putting you into a space when you listen to music.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like a song where you're like jamming, which I love, but like
Right.
you're in it and it's kind of weird and it's almost like off-putting in a way.
It
So
really
I wanted like
sparks your imagination.
yeah, I
to keep
wanted it
working.
to be like really like dark
Yeah.
and like
Dude,
I don't know.
you're 18. Where the fuck did you come from? Where did you start? What was your first DAW? Like, have you always been on Ableton?
Okay, so when I first started music, I like, oh my god, it started with me and my friend Danny. We used to make like cheesy videos when I was literally like 12 years old was
I've
when
been
this is
there.
happening. And we were like, we need something to edit all this in, and I remember he had like some program where we could like line up the video with the audio, and I don't even remember. Oh god, it's gonna kill me. It was like Mixcraft or something, and it was like a PC only plugin. And so we like started messing with that, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And then like the next year, I started getting really into dubstep. It was like my dubstep phase. I had like these 50mm driver headphones that were literally this big, like pillows over my ear.
They vibrate,
Just, like,
not even.
No, it was really bad. Like I feel like they definitely fucked up.
I think back to the Skull Candy headphones where you can set the
dude,
vibration
Skull
settings
Candy.
to like
Oh
super
my
high, so they're
God.
just like.
I thought I was the shit. Worse. But like, so I started getting really into like Skrillex and Zomboy and like that whole thing, which like. It is what it is. So I eventually got, like, I was like, maybe I'll try, like, making some remixes. I remember the first thing I ever did, I made, a remix of Mord Fustang, if you've ever heard of Mord Fustang.
Totally.
Oh.
And it was literally, like, I would just go into, it was, like, either Sony Acid or, like, just some really obscure audio plugin, and I would just like cut up little chops of it and like duplicate it, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Breakcore is born.
And then I eventually was just like, I need to get like a real thing because this program's like garb. And so I downloaded, I torrented I shouldn't admit that, I torrented two things. I torrented FL and Ableton. And like I started learning in FL because it just looks super. It kind of, I'll be honest, like FL's awesome.
I tried
like,
FL when I first started.
All power to people who use FL. Like it's not bad in any way, but it looks like a fucking toy. Like it looks cheesy as shit.
It's like virtual DJ compared to like.
Exactly. And so like I was messing with that, and then I was like, well, this looks more professional, and so I started like YouTube tutorialing things in Ableton, and then I was making just dubstep, like straight up for like. I don't know, the first, like, whatever 2-3 aliases I had. And, like...
What were those? I'm curious.
I refuse to say on this podcast.
Don't want to dig them up.
Because people will find them. People already have. They still exist. Somewhere. There's only so much you can get rid of on the internet.
That's true.
Maybe we can play some later. I wouldn't mind a few, but...
We can show, like, we can listen to my first ones too.
Yeah, we can go to our first track.
To be fair, my first name was Audioral, and that was...
It's not even that bad.
That was, no, the way that... This was my best friend Jo that came up for me when I first started DJing and I was looking for a moniker. She was like, Audioral melts in your ears, not in your mouth. And I was like... Sure.
I'll take it.
And then DJ Pillow Tits, and that was not a choice of my own. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, I don't know. I was just making like a lot of dubstep and stuff, and like I started. I think what really made the difference for me, like figuring out Ableton, is I straight up went on Craigslist and typed in Ableton lessons, and I found this dude for like $40 a session who lived. He has like a 1-bedroom like shitty apartment. He was like a college kid, and like Balthazar.
Yeah, Balthazar. Wow.
He's actually a really cool guy. He stopped producing since, which sucks because he was pretty good. But Balthazar. What the hell?
It sounds royal blood.
It was awesome, but like
The second.
So I'd go to this dude's house. I'd have my mom, like, my mom would drive me there. Like, this is how long ago this was. My mom would drive me to my dubstep lessons with Tom.
Most regular kids go to play piano and guitar.
So that's what I was doing. I had a lime green laptop with, like, a squid sticker on it. And fuck yeah, and I had no monitors or anything. Like, oh my god, it's painful to look back on. But the thing is, this dude, like, knew his shit, and, like, he didn't really release that much music, but he was like really into music, and he was really into like the technical side of producing, so he knew Ableton like fucking in and out. And so like really the first thing he had to teach me was how to use the program. And like I feel like a lot of people, that's a huge barrier. It's just like
It's a very
you
large
open it up
barrier.
and you're like, okay, I need to YouTube fucking something, but like what do I even YouTube?
You
Because
don't
like,
even know the search terms.
so you
No.
search like intro to Ableton and like you start there and like that's okay.
It still
but,
doesn't
like,
even help.
What you need is people who can sit down and be like, okay, why does this thing happen when I do this? Because like how
And even the first time you sit down with them, they just toss out a bunch of terms
Yeah,
that you
exactly,
don't understand.
exactly.
You have to sit down a couple times to be like, okay,
Well,
I kind of
there's
recognize what you
vocab
said
involved,
before.
it's like
we
a whole
have
thing.
Yeah.
we have a whole like Ableton production course in Calgary.
Beat Drop, it's
yeah, it's
called.
called
Beat
Beat
Drop.
Drop, and they have different tiers, different levels. Like
Keyboard
beginner,
fundamentals, music theory.
Well, that's like one of the
DJs,
things that
Serato basics,
like when I've tried to teach people in the
everything.
past, you forget something as simple as like, oh, tab switches between views.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you just
Yeah,
do that. and
totally.
do it. How did you? What did you? Why did it change just now?
Yeah.
It's just like you have to explain like, oh no, this is how you do.
Yeah,
this
you
is very
forget-
basic.
Even
function.
being just like
Forget that
writing notes,
people
like, oh my
know
god, you're
nothing
drawing
about
now.
it.
How are you doing
Yeah,
that?
exactly. So like, yeah, I don't know. That guy like really like got me to the point where I could like do everything.
make your way
And
around the kitchen.
Once you're at that point, you can kind of start like developing a sound. But the thing is, he was into like a lot of like neuro stuff, and like I started producing with this other kid, Kyle Hoffman, which I don't even think he makes music anymore either. But like,
sad.
and he was making dubstep too, but he was really into like some really sick neuro. He showed me what was that track? It was like a remix of something. It was, oh my god, it was Neo Signal remixed some Noisia track. I can't remember the name.
Oh, I know
of
what
it
you're
now.
talking about.
You know,
Yeah.
Stigma.
Yeah.
Neo Signal?
Neo Signal
I wanna look
remix
it up.
of Stigma, dude. That's the track. But like,
So that was the birth of.
so like he started showing me all. No, fuck no, that didn't come to because like
Way later. Like you hadn't even been producing for a year when Frequent started, right?
No, that's
How long was it?
It was like because like I started like 8th grade, and then freshman year, I was Cacti Noir, and then
Cacti Noir.
and then my next alias was Corellius. You won't find either of these because the thing about those accounts
He
is
said he
those
wasn't gonna
accounts.
say.
Those were the Frequent account. I just changed the name,
Oh,
so you
okay.
can't find those.
Cactus Noir and what?
And Corellius.
I like Corellius.
The
That's
Lithuanian name for king.
Ah.
So that was that, and like, but the thing is, I like expressed my interest in that like neuro sound because like I had only heard dubstep up until this point, and he plays that track and I was like, what the fuck? What is that? That is like way beyond what I've been listening to.
Yeah.
And so like I brought that sort of stuff back to the dude who was teaching me. He was like, oh shit, you like actually like this stuff, and so like he really like changed my entire viewpoint. He was like, look, like there's an entire other
It's a whole
realm of
Yeah.
sound design, and
Well,
so
It's
that's
like,
its own thing. It's crazy because
That's
like it's sort of like you take the same tempo, and even a lot of the times you can use the same drum kit, and it's just like the way you design the sounds is just so fundamentally
It's
different.
squishy.
There's almost no crossover whatsoever in
Yeah.
like the way that you do it.
And that's
you know?
what I appreciate so much about like the whole concept. Like first of all, when I first discovered glitch hop was Shambhala 2010 when we found Ill
2011.
Gates. No, the first year that we went. Oh yeah, sorry, it was 2011. When we found Ill Gates, it was like, what is this super random? Like it's not break beats, it's not
like some
dubstep.
weird
It's just
in-between
something
shit.
weird that you can't define. And when I went on the internet to try and torrent like glitch hop various
Oh, yeah.
various artists' discography, give me something. All that I was able to find was Alicia, first of all, who hates the term glitch hop, also
Right.
I might add, and Haywire.
Haywire?
And those were the
Old
only
Haywire.
That long ago?
Those were the
Old
only
Haywire. I
two
like. I got
artists.
into Old Haywire
think-
before he was like a Haywire.
Exactly.
You know?
Those were the only two
2011.
artists that I was able to find at that point, and there was nothing else related to the term glitch hop or mid tempo
That's
at
crazy.
that
Like
time.
what? How old of Haywire though?
It was
Like-
2011.
Like
so
what?
So
What
that was,
track?
The Voyage. had
The
just come out.
Voyager.
Was that on a
Or
dab?
the
What
Voyage,
was it
sorry.
on? Do you know what label? That's sorry. That might be something.
It was definitely pre Monster Cat.
Yeah, it was pretty much
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Because here's a tidbit of information.
Voyage.
Before Haywire released like Ever Changing and on Monster Cat,
Yep.
I gave him sound design lessons.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So
I
and then
remember
he
that.
came out with that, and it had like that really sick reese in it, and I was like, dude, yes, that's awesome.
Cheers.
You have learned well.
Whoa.
Man, you saw his recent performance demo for what's the track called?
I know what you're talking
I haven't
about,
seen
yeah.
anything from him in a while.
Oh god,
released
he's been
one-
doing so good.
I heard the
Just
track, but I
less than a
didn't
month
see him
ago.
actually doing
Yeah,
it.
he released a performance demo. It's got some cool projector mapping.
It's
He's
so
even got
funny,
the
'cause,
keys
like-
to his keyboard are projector mapping.
Dude, that's
It's
awesome.
fucking beautiful. But I really like at the end he really breaks it down and softens it and then goes into just some really like beautiful chord work and
Kind of like what he
just
did with his
trails-
first album, like a
trails
lot
it
of the
out.
intros that he did
Yeah.
and stuff. Like,
You could I don't know. Can we put it on?
no, nothing's plugged into the sound. I don't think.
I could probably make that happen. it's worth it. It's
Y'all-
really beautiful to watch, and like
It's interesting because like as a performer, he like is so low energy, like not in like
Yeah.
a bad way.
So
He's
what
just very
we
much
heard,
like
because we've been trying to book him for like basically since we started promoting and before we even knew like, oh wait, we have to send the initial offer. Like I don't even know how much money to offer. Like
Right,
how
right.
about $1,000? Like you know, we'll see where that goes, kind of thing. We saw him at Lightning in a Bottle a couple of years ago when it was in Temecula, California. And, you know, he played his set. I was super sunstroked out, so I was hiding in the shade. Tanner was dancing, and at the end of Haywire's set, there was this dude standing beside Tanner just being like, what's your name? What's your name? And Tanner pats him on the shoulder. He's like, yo, this is Haywire. He's like, I know, he's my best friend. He just needs to put himself out there. He needs to present himself and just be like, hey, this is who I am.
Yeah,
Like,
because at the end he was just like, thank you.
thank you. And just like, walks off the stage.
oh, that's so funny, man.
We ran into him like at the weird little splash park that there was there, and I looked back and I was like, oh my god, that's him. I'm gonna go give him a hug. Like, I know you don't know me, my name's Callie, but just thank you. And I hugged him super awkwardly and ran away.
That's how it's done. Man. Get it done. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. here it
Whoa,
is.
that's really sick.
Get it
Should
turned.
have.
The knob.
I know.
You have to believe in yourself.
Nope.
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself.
The rap shit. Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
It's been awesome.
I seriously
Did
like.
you see, what was it? I can't remember the name of the British rapper that did it, but you know Eminem's Rap God? Like, he held the record for the most amount of words in, like, however long that track was. It was, like, 6.5 to 7 minutes. He held the record for the most amount of words spat in that particular time span. Well, really.
Spitted.
Just spitted. This British rapper just recently overtook him, and I just kind of related to that because you talk fucking fast as shit.
Yeah, see, like, I don't know, like, I sincerely have no idea how that happened. Like, I think, like, so, like,
I don't
To
even
me,
know you anymore.
it seems like writing would have been the hardest part. So, my good friend, who I just, like, recently became acquainted with, we were, like, best friends in middle school, and then he left for high school and just came back. He got into rap music. The rap music. And he started showing me all this stuff, like, on Tech Nine's label. And I was like, wow, this is, like, I actually like this. Like, that's been one of the biggest obstacles with me for rap, because I'm always trying to, like, do different stuff. But for me, it's just been, I've never liked it much. And, like, a lot of the stuff on Strange Music is just, like,
That's the
really,
label.
yeah, that's Tech Nine's label. It's like super technical and like very like in depth. And so I was listening to it, and I had just driven Mr. Bill to get his car, and in the car while I was driving on the way back, I had my phone up and I was just like typing out what became Edison, just like in like, and because I was also driving and not thinking about it, it turned out like really well. And so like then it was just the issue of actually doing it. And I've been like amateur beatboxing since I was like 13. And so I think like just having the like mouth dexterity to be able to do that,
Totally, yeah.
like translated over. So it would just happen to be this like weird alignment of all the skills that I already had, where it was like, oh, well, I already have the lyrics and now I have the writing and I can do it. And then, like I was just telling him earlier, like, it's actually easier because I don't have to worry about pitch, you know what I mean?
Right,
So, like, for me
yeah,
to go
for
that
sure.
fast is actually a lot easier than for me to just sing,
I
you
was
know?
pretty floored that video that you guys posted yesterday, 2 weeks ago.
When
I
you-
was surprised that...
When you posted it too, just being like, for those of you that thought that Edison was sped up.
Yeah, I had someone tell me that, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, no.
Girl.
I did that, too.
I remember the day that like you kind of had a working version of that. Like you messaged me, you were like, "Hey, so apparently this is a thing."
Yeah.
I had no idea I could do this.
Yeah, it was
This just
really
came out of
weird.
my mouth.
Yeah, and everyone kind of had the same reaction of like, what the what is, like, how do you just, like, do that? And I had that same reaction because I had no idea that was a thing I could do.
So was that first take, that video you guys did?
No. But the issue that I was having, it's not with speed, it was actually with remembering it, because
Yeah.
what we were talking about kind of our crossover and how we wanted to collaborate, and he was like, oh, we should write something to Fluidity. And he suggested like maybe a rap, and I was like, well, I don't want to like write and memorize an entire rap
In 2 days.
in 6 weeks like we planned
6
ahead of
weeks.
time. So I was like, okay, what do I have? And that was for the rap that I did was for a song that was about 25 BPM slower, and I hadn't worked on in like months. So to just kind of like pop it open and try to do it, and also like it's two different verses that are just squished together. So like the crossover point was where we kept having problems where it was like one verse ended, but I had to figure out how the next one started.
Yeah.
And so it was just on the fly.
Yeah.
But that was easily like what, the 20th take?
Yeah, but for the record, before we even decided to like record it, I just like play it. You're like play it once, and I played it once, and then you were like just kind of like mumbling shit for a second, and then you're like, okay, start it over, and I was like, okay, and you're like, alright, I think I got something, and then you just like you did it like 75% of the way through, just like first take from memory, and I was like, wait, what?
Even on the way down, like picking you guys up from the airport, we put on like a glad kill track, and I could hear you in the back just being like.
It's just I don't know where it comes from, man. It's fun though. I mean, that's the important thing. Like, it's more fun almost, and it's like what I like about it is that with singing you have like 8 words to say what you can say with rap in that same amount of time in X amount. You know, like
paragraph.
So many. You know, and it's funny because like you'll read my lyrics and it's like verse and it's like 8 words, 8 words, 8 words, and then to the rap section it's just fucking a paragraph.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah.
I can dig it. I like the direction.
When does this music come out? Like, are you releasing another like full-length album type?
Yes. I've
Question
been like
mark?
so. The main issue that I'm having right now, I'm finally getting my vocals to a point where I'm pretty happy with them because like, to me, to my ear, like most of the stuff on Neuropop and on Withdrawal, like the vocals aren't good quality, and I kind of knew that at the time. I was just like putting down what I could do at the time, and it was sort of like baby steps, you know. And I got a lot of negative feedback for it actually, because people were like, "Oh, you don't have a good voice." And it's like, no, I have a like I just started doing it.
I have a great voice.
I've been producing for 7 years. I've been singing for like 1.
Yeah.
And not even seriously. And I quit smoking like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm in recovery from cigarettes.
granted, so like I recently got it where I want it, but as such, I'm like holding myself to a higher quality standard.
Yeah.
So like the other day, I spent like, and it's funny because I just talked about how I don't spend much time on this kind of shit, but I spent an hour and a half on 15 seconds of vocals that I didn't end up using, and so like I have entire produced tracks that are done. I have easily 2 albums worth of production, and just doing the vocals for it is taking me a very long time, especially like actually right now I've got a cough that I've had for months because I'll get like better and I'll be like, oh, now I can sing, and then I sing and it makes it
Constantly
worse.
stressing it too, right?
Yeah.
Putting it through its
Yeah, let it heal
Exactly.
as you cough.
Yeah. Exhibit A. I'm not just doing that as like C. But so it's just been an issue of like, and like I said, I've been all over the place. I've been moving from point A to point B to point C to point D, and like I just haven't been able to like nail down a studio setup where I can just like go in, not have to worry about volume, and just like belt for 6 hours, you know. And so I have an album. I do have one. I just need to like tidy up the vocals on it basically. But a lot of the stuff like the other issue is that we're trying to do multimedia for everything now. Like there's been a lot of the videos. Even if it's just a visualizer, like that stuff just gets a lot more engagement from people. People like the visual aspect, and so like I don't have the programs for it, and I at this point in my life I don't torrent anything anymore. Like basically since about 2 years ago I haven't torrented anything, and so like I've been torrent free for 2 years now. And it's been really hard.
Here's my chip.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I don't just like have video software, and I can't just like spring for video software out of pocket. And so Z is doing it, and my manager.
Yeah.
And it's just like he has a lot of shit to do. He's my manager as well as like the manager of several other artists. And so like he can't always just be like on a dime like, okay, make me a video for this by tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which if it were me, I probably would find time to make it happen.
Yeah.
And like because it's that level of important to me where it's like I want to, you know, I have this song right now that's done and I've wanted
That's
to release
important
it
to
for
you
so
in your
long.
own interest, though. But he's
Right. And I just want to release this song so bad, and it's done, and I've had the like master, and it's been on SoundCloud, and I'm just like, please let me release it, but it's just there's no video yet, and so I'm just like biding my time. Like, I'm so excited.
So you talk about a song being done. At what point, this is a question for both of you, at what point is a song done?
When I'm tired of working on it, basically.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, there's a lot of songs where I'm just like, it'll do. Like, that's just kind of how I am, though.
See, by the time I'm like maybe 60% through a song, I'm already so done with it.
So what you're saying is it's a point of just being physically and emotionally tired with it. That you just...
No, well, I mean, like, it's like, I mean, I get sick of working on something once I put just, like, there's only so many hours I can invest into something and still, like, be interested in it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I end up, like, whatever I end up finishing is, like, a ridiculous amount of hours. And so, like, I get really sick of it really fast, so it's not really
the same thing over and over.
It's not really a point of, like, when I'm sick of hearing it, because that happens really early on. But, it's more of a point of when I can listen through the entire thing and there's nothing I hear that jumps out. Because, like, you know, especially when you're just, like, putting that many things together, you play it through and, like, you just like, oh, that needs to change, that needs to change, that needs to change. And then you'll go through and change those things. But,
Oh, okay, so it's...
Oh, boy.
It, like, filters down to that aggregate.
Yeah, there is a point where you just listen to it through and it's like, there's no way I can make it any better without redoing something entirely.
See, and I feel like I like to ask this question just especially as, like, a very beginner budding producer, because the tracks that I have been working on, it's just like they just keep going and going. There's always something, there's always been something little tiny that I can change, or something that doesn't sound right, but it's like there's one track that I've been working on for so long, and there has to be a point where you just say no, and it's okay. Nobody will notice the points that you're trying to make.
And that point changes over time a lot, I feel like, because especially early on, you really need to learn when it's time to just, like, call it on a track and move on. Because when you're, like, really focused on learning new things and, like, you make something, you're like, oh shit, all this needs to be different, and so, like, you want to change it, and then even if you change it, like, you realize, like, oh, all this could be different. Eventually that starts to plateau because, like, you've made all of these mistakes and, like, realized all these things so many times that, like, you know what you need to do to get the sound you're looking for. So, like, you sit down and you're like, I need XYZ, I know how to make this sound, I can synthesize it, I can sample it.
So that will just come with time as well.
Yeah, and so...
Yay!
But before you get to that point, you really do need to just be like, okay, like, it's not 100%, but it doesn't matter, because, like, especially in those first years, it's not really about releasing the best music you've ever made. It's about, like, progressing so you can make the best music you've ever made. But, like, you definitely eventually, like, reach a point in your production where it's like, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm not learning exponentially anymore. Like, you just become, it's like you become so familiar with, like, all of your own processes, all of, like, the program, and you just, like, need to buckle down and really focus on, like, making your own sound. And, like, the struggle isn't really, like, does it sound finished, because you know when it sounds finished. It's really like have I done it all?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too, like, there's not really a right answer to that. Like, what's interesting, it's really weird that we work together, like, as well and as much as we do. Like, even granted it's not that much, because, like, our processes probably couldn't be more different. Like, it's sort of like, any question you ask, it's like, how do you do this? He'll be like, well, you spend 8 hours tweaking this, and, like, you want to use, like, this synth, and I'm just like, well,
do you guys ever get frustrated with each other in that?
No, absolutely not, because he'll just sit down, he'll just crank it out, and then I'll go through and just nitpick it for a long time. And
see, as long as I'm not there for that, I'm fine.
Okay, but so you guys don't, like, work physically together? You guys work on something and then send it to each other?
The problem is we do work side by side, but it's really good when he's working, because he'll just, like, get a bunch of shit done and then pass it to me, and then I'll make, like, no progress. It takes me forever, because, like, he's very just like, boom, that thing sounds good enough, go to the next thing. Boom, that thing sounds good enough, go to the next thing. And then, like, he'll change them all at once. He'll, like, keep things in MIDI, or, like, just throw, like, all these effect racks together really fast that will, like, kind of fix shit, and I'll just be like, no, like, this sound's not even fucking getting in there in the damn show. So I'm gonna fucking sit here and play this one part of the song 75
over and over
times.
again.
Alright, that automation's perfect. We'll move to the next automation.
Well, like, most of our songs that we've finished, we didn't... Like, we started them in the same
We would live, like, 15 minutes away from each other, and we'd stem them out and send them over Facebook.
Well, and it's funny because, like, when we, like, us DJing together, like, I I hate to admit that I require this, but I need a lot of creative control in anything that I'm doing, like any artistic endeavor. So when we work together, we tend to dispute sometimes. Like, we don't argue as a couple ever unless we're trying to bring music together, and it's awful and it's terrible.
I just love the fact that the Jelly Bean microphone stand is now
It's no longer.
subcontracted for its
Yeah.
flavor.
That's a great way of putting it.
I'm bleeding it for its delicious innards.
But it's the kind of thing where, like, when we play together, like, so much passion goes into what we're doing regardless of, like, the creative disputes that we have, because we both have very different ideals for
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
something needs to be. But then when it all comes together, when we're either playing together or throwing a show together, nobody would ever know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, the finished product comes out, and that's why
We jive and it's like, why the fuck
get-
are we fighting?
we get booked to play as a duo a lot.
Right.
We have our own separate things, but I have so much more fun playing.
It's a different thing. It's a more magical kind of experience being able to, like, yeah.
Like,
again, please.
it's kind of like tumultuous working together to put together a set, especially when you're doing like track for track or like couple tracks, and you're building the flow together of the set, and then
They'll be sitting there nitpicking and just being like, that's not what I would do.
Yeah. I
can't
You
even
do it kind
imagine
of better.
trying to,
And
like-
just like,
Like do like a DJ set with like Evoke and Frequent, like back and forth tracks.
Yeah, no,
That would be the
it's so
most like
different.
'Cause, like,
eclectic.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing though, because like our sounds are so different, but then since we've been working together since like we started our like actual solid aliases that we're kind of sticking with at this point,
Right.
like what we make together is just a completely like separate product
And
from what we
that's
make
fine.
apart, and so like we know there's this middle ground. That was fucking awesome.
Success.
Nailed
Thing
it.
that happened.
Tanner just shot a jelly bean into Michelle's mouth. I don't even know how.
Perfect.
Shot.
Bullseye.
Fucking bazooka.
I don't even know what just happened.
No, but then to be fair, like I do feel like it does take a certain amount of time to be able to, as a creative person, as an artist, be able to not only find somebody that you can tentatively work with, but be able to build a bond with that, hey, I might not like what you're doing now, but
Oh, yeah.
the more time goes on, like you just learn like, hey, this is your pattern, this is my pattern, this is
And
how we
like
work
sometimes things get scrapped, and like I
Yeah, we
think-
have a lot of collabs that just
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like the more that you produce, the more you like are able to detach yourself from things to an extent. Like sometimes you'll make something that's like so good and you don't want the other person to fuck it up. But typically it's just like
That's my struggle.
you just like have made so many fucking things that haven't gotten finished that like it's okay if it goes to the grave. And if you have that mindset where it's
Impermanence.
just like it doesn't matter if it's gone.
Actually, do you guys know the cartoon Metalocalypse?
I know of it.
You know Brendan Small?
No.
No.
Brendan Small does the voices for 3 of the main characters, and he's also the one that writes all the music for Death Clock.
Oh, okay.
Like, Brendan Small is actually
The guy.
a friggin' incredible musician. He writes all of the music in his by himself, and then he hires out people to play.
That's
so it's a lot
awesome.
like Nine Inch Nails,
Death
like
Clock.
Trent Reznor.
Right.
But Brendan Small, I've watched a lot of like podcasts and video, like YouTube seminars with him, where I remember he continually reinforces like you have to detach from that piece of you that wants to like fall in love and marry every track.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of have to fucking put some of them to the dirt. Don't be
Right.
afraid to walk away, because like every single time you start on a new path, you learn more things. So the more you stay stagnant in like this, I'm obsessed with having to finish this, you're ridding yourself from being able to like crack open a new
Build and expand.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I remember
What's interesting, like, in my opinion, is like different people's definitions, like, especially with a lot of neuro producers that I've tried to work with before, just because like I feel like neuro production tends to attract a very specific kind of mindset where you're very detail oriented and you're very like you're trying to
You're striving for a
what are you
sound.
doing, man?
Yeah, sure.
You're like trying to like you're playing the same thing over and over again and you're doing these really weird rhythms, and I'm like, even when I was just making neuro, I feel like my workflow has been like super antithetical to that. And so I've run into a lot of problems trying to collab with people, or collab as it's said, apparently, as I learned, where they just, there's like a lot of detail stuff where they're like, how come you didn't, detail this? And it's like, that's not how I do it, I'd rather get the like basic sound and then just use it in an interesting way. And then, and again, that's not to say which way is right or wrong. It's just that there's like more than one way to crack an egg, basically.
That kind of leads me into one of the questions I did have written down, like, you know, working as a neuro producer to strive to find this certain sound or anything that you do. This is a question I just like to ask people in general, especially like the conversations that we had the last time you were here. We got into like some really weird, ridiculous existential shit. You know, especially within our culture here in Western Canada, like the super hippie new age culture, a lot of people regard the ego as like this super ultra bad thing that you should avoid at all costs because it is the death to spirituality and whatever. The question that I present is basically how... The way that I see the ego is that it's not necessarily such a bad thing, because if it did not exist within us whatsoever, we wouldn't be striving to build upon ourselves and strive to learn anything new or better ourselves. Is there anything that you might be able to speak to that?
I actually had like a really long conversation with Z about this, where he was basically saying to me, like, you're too humble, which sounds like such a dick thing for me to say, but like he basically was telling me, like, you need to have some pride in what you do. If you run a donut shop and someone comes in and is like, how are your donuts? And you're like, yeah, well, I mean, we make donuts. Like, they have like a hole in the middle, so it's like, you know, I don't know.
They're missing like
no one's
half
gonna
of
buy
the
your goddamn
pastry.
donuts. So you have to, at a certain point, like, I recently had to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I sincerely believe that the tracks I'm making are better than the other shit that's out there. And I have to believe that, because if I don't believe that, no one else is gonna believe that either. And so I have to fucking advocate for my donuts, man. They're great donuts. I put a lot of
There's
time
a
into these
reason there's
donuts.
that hole in the
Sell
middle.
that hole.
Yeah.
Cheers. That was good.
You drive.
Apparently I'm not
Shit.
driving.
That was
I'll try.
beautiful. No, but yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, that's
fucking
my
amazing
opinion.
analogy.
And so, like, and there's like a not childish cameo, I guess it's Donald Glover when he's not doing stand-up. There's like a bit about it where he's like, being an entertainer is the only job where you're not allowed to enjoy your own work. If you work at a sandwich shop, you make sandwiches all day for people and you get good at making sandwiches, and then you go home and you make yourself a sandwich, people aren't gonna be like, oh, getting a little conceited, are we? It's like, yeah, enjoy your own music. Like, believe and like advocate for your own shit. If you don't really think that your stuff is better than the other stuff that's out there, why are you doing this in the first place?
And that's the whole point. Like, when you're like, even when you go to a job interview, like, you're told like you have to sell yourself.
Right.
You are selling yourself and your own product as a producer, as a
because
musician.
confidence and that's like a little slice of your ego that is fucking magnetic.
Right.
It is so magnetic, and as long as you can harness it in where you embrace the humility and you retain that, like, I'm not an overbearing dickhead, then it's even more magnetic.
I have always been like, I don't know, I never like, I'm very like not public as possible about anything I do, and I don't know, like, I kind of like, I have all my stuff set up, but like, it's very like strict business stuff. I'm never like promoting myself in any way, and like, I don't, basically polar opposite. Like, I feel like I just like try to put my music out there as much as I can and like expand it as much as I can, but I never say anything about it. And I just kind of want it to like speak for itself. I want my donuts to sell themselves.
Well, one of our like
they're so fucking good that you just want it.
one of our
know it.
core like Genesis crew, Eric.
I was just gonna say,
meet him tomorrow. Eric's amazing.
You remind me so much of him. Those guys mean
He
to
goes
me
by
so
Grey Matters,
hard.
and he produces really like experimental neuro drum and bass.
You guys even
And-
speak the same way. Actually.
Yeah, no, but he's like, he's got that really like super refined like production mind that's making really incredible music, but he needs someone that can like put him out there, because
exactly.
He's not. It's not that he doesn't want to, but it's just not.
He also
his
has
focus.
See, that's like, I've really just gotten lucky in a lot of senses. Like, shit like this just like came to me. Like, I did.
Turn that shit off.
What is this? Do you want me to?
no.
I'm just kidding. I don't know why we put that on there, because like we wanted to have videos of like our shows, but
Kelly and
That's
Tanner
just-
are on
What's wrong
TV.
with this? This is sick. This is a video of your show. What is this?
sorry.
Some kind of seahorse sea hell.
Seahorses.
Anyway, so then
Sorry.
you like what you're saying then, or like what I hear that you're saying is that really like everything is just kind of happened by chance. Is that kind of the reason why?
I mean, to an extent, like, I put myself out there in that, like, I talk to a lot of people, and like, I try to talk to a lot of like anyone I respect as an artist, like whether they be smaller artists, especially if they're smaller artists, I really like to get in touch with them, because like I've seen a lot of people like blow up in front of me, and it's like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know.
Like Drake.
Yeah, Drake, dude. But like I don't know, but kind of. It's hard to explain because I don't want to sound like a dickbag, but just like trying to be like as modest as possible as with what I do, and like I mean it's definitely luck to an extent, but just like trying to be humble with everyone I work with, no matter how big or small they are, like trying to treat everyone.
It seems like
with the same.
Hey guys, this is the middle part where we lost about 5 minutes. I ended up running over and changing the batteries on the camera, I think, just so that we could keep going. And yeah, sorry, but continue. Thank you.
I've had it explained because the guy who taught me, like, he had Balthazar, I had Dirk Koistra, guy from the Netherlands, genius.
He was awesome.
Sorry,
He's
what was his
amazing.
name?
Dirk Koistra.
That's awesome.
Kooistra. It took me a very long time to be able to pronounce
That's
it,
a
and I'm
sick
still
name.
not sure I'm doing it right. I've been told by him that it's like Koistra. Something to that effect. So he taught me also everything I know, basically, especially like to start, like he taught me like all the fundamentals, and especially like the interplay of stereo and frequency and volume, which is really everything. He sort of like, oh yeah, he's used both FL and Ableton extensively, and he was saying that like they're the same, basically. Like you can do anything in one that you can do in the other. It just is how you do it.
Right.
So the only reason to use one over the other is one, cost, which is kind of how we got started on this tangent, and two, workflow. And so like I switched over from FL to Ableton because I thought Ableton was better. I was told by people that Ableton was the better program.
That's what everybody's using.
Right, and it isn't, and that's another thing, is that if you want to collaborate with people, like, you kind of want to have the same program as them.
Yeah, for sure.
Best way to do that is to be able to use both. I can't, because I just can't. I started in FL and produced in that for 3 years.
Wow.
Switched to Ableton because I was told it was better. And it's not really, it's just different.
I mean, I think it is
I'm glad
better.
I did.
I think it's better for certain things, and FL is better for certain.
Well, that's what
better is
Every
relative.
DAW has its own advantages, right? Like,
But,
whether it's
like-
Cubase or Logic.
Right.
or
Exactly,
Ableton.
and it depends on the type of music you're trying to make.
Right.
So like,
Well, but Dirk, like, makes Neuro in FL. And sort of
Yeah,
like, have you heard
absolutely.
Circuit Bent?
Yes!
They use FL.
No shit!
Yeah, and so it's not like, I don't even think that that's true, that it's about what type of music. It's just about
fucking
how you
Spore
work.
uses FL. Like,
No shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's about,
Was it
it's
Sport?
about
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
most comfortable,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me now, I can't imagine using FL. Because Ableton, to me, the way it's laid out and the sort of like way it's routed, I would have a fucking nightmare
it's
trying
like
to use
muscle
them.
memory, right?
Yeah.
Like your
True.
environment that you're playing with.
Well, and so much
Well,
of
and
what
you
I
have all
do
of your
is like
shortcuts
routing
and
based.
everything that...
Like so much of my workflow is routing based. It's kind of like you mentioned earlier, like I'm much more likely to use MIDI and then like route something in some fucking ridiculous way to get the effect I want than to like split it out to audio.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think it's totally fine to torrent.
At first.
To start.
At first, yes.
That's the catch. I mean, yeah, because at this point, I don't think either of us really torrent anything anymore. I mean, because like,
Once you get to the point where it's like you've created your own sound and like maybe now you're making money off of your sound, that's when you should be reinvesting into the program.
well,
or
it's
the VSTs
also
that
just
you
like
use.
you have no idea what you're gonna end up using at first because you have no fucking clue what it does.
Totally, that's a good point.
So like, you get the thing, and it's like, I remember I torrented like FM8, which I ended up actually buying. I did buy FM8, but like, I remember I torrented it, which I never use FM8 still, but like, I was really into it for a bit. But then I remember when I first opened it, I was like, I don't fucking get it, and so I just like threw it to the side, and like, I didn't think I'd ever need it, and I didn't. But there's a lot of plugins like that you'll get where you're like, think it's gonna be the shit. Like, I remember Sugar Bytes Wow. Have you ever heard of that?
yes.
That was like the thing when people were making like Skrillex growls and stuff, and so I was like, wow, oh fuck yeah. And so then eventually I like got over that, and so that's something I don't use anymore. And so like, you really just start to like refine your plugins down to like what's actually
Yeah.
going to be used, and then at that point it's like, okay, well if I am going to be using all of this all the time, I should probably like pay these
Yeah.
people for it.
Well, like one thing that was just brought up was the fact that like, you know, certain plugins have more of a visual aspect than others. Like I tried, like when I first started trying to be taught by my friend Clay, who, produces in Ableton, but he uses Massive as his main synth, and makes absolutely no sense to me.
Massive's
I'm a
lot
very
of things.
kinesthetic learner. Like, I need visuals, I need doing, I need like a lot of other things. Serum for me has worked the best
Serum,
because it has an actual like
Serum's just
visual
like better
aspect.
Massive, basically.
I still have never used it.
Really?
Well, I mean,
It's
like,
Go
it's sort of
upstairs,
like,
I'll show you.
I like
It's awesome.
I use the stuff that I mean, like I said, I haven't toured it and said anything in a long time. So like, what I've got right now is basically Ableton, Massive, and my voice, and like everything I make is out of Ableton, Massive, and my voice, and like, I kind of like that limitation.
That's fair.
Because it's like, you know, I've worked with a lot of people who are like, oh, you don't have this synth, like it's so. It's like, well, it's just still.
You look at their
it's just
library; they have like a library of like 150 different
Yeah, it's still
VSTs.
just
Like,
a
are you
synth,
actually
you know
using
what I
all
mean?
of
Like,
those?
it's like, I know it maybe gets a better tone in this way or gets a better tone in that way, and again, this is just me being not very detail oriented at all in that way. It's just like, it makes notes, you know what I mean? It makes like a saw or a
Makes
square,
a sound.
you know? Like,
I've
I would rather
appreciated
get
that,
it.
though. Like
Yeah.
in previous like interview or just like workflow podcasts or just stuff that you've put out there, the fact that you just like reiterate, like, stop searching for all the, you know, don't go looking in the treasure chests finding like the secret to your, like, learn operator, get into it, get into the basics and learn the fundamentals of what you have here to work with, and then learn how to accentuate that.
Right.
And I really, I mean, I'm not into the production world like Hallie or you are, but I
Don't put me on the same
I don't have
pencil
to be.
again, please.
I don't have to be to appreciate the weight of that. You know, like, learn your grassroots, right? Learn the fundamentals. Learn where things are simple.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you have. If you don't have that foundation, and I see this in a lot of people, like people trying to do super technical shit, and it's like, but you don't even, like, you're just jumping in so fast, and I can't even imagine how you're trying to do some of this shit.
But it's when you first jump into it, it's like, I have all of these ideas and songs in my
Yeah.
brain that I just need to get out, and I need to know everything right the
everyone's
fuck
trying to
now.
sell you
It's just
snake
like,
oil too.
too
right?
bad that's gonna take like
The amount of,
3
like-
years to
No.
happen.
There's gonna be there's like
It's
so many videos that
intimidating.
are like how to make Skrillex bass on YouTube, and it's like,
No,
then
don't
it was
make
something that's
Skrillex
like,
bass.
and it's like, that's not at all what I wanted. And it's got like a big sub underneath it. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of the problem lies, though. It's like, this is
Fair.
how you make Skrillex bass, or this is how you make this kind of bass. It's like, no, give them the fundamentals to
Learn it.
use the software
make
and make your
basses.
own goddamn bass.
well, and that's like the
As
thing.
if that's how it works, though, because nobody wants their own fucking bass. They all want the same bass.
808.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
That's
you
how
have
you
your
get
own
famous.
sound.
How else do
Yeah,
you get famous? Then you
extremely.
could be like Britney Spears, man.
Yeah, dude.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
And on Britney Spears, that's a wrap.
Oh, I thought the rap was up, and I was like, oh, that's clever. But it wasn't clever.
What do we have
That's
for
true.
time?
We're at 95 minutes.
95.
Almost
we've,
just over an hour and a half.
Yeah, we crushed our initial expectations. You
That was
guys
really
did
fun.
Way too easy.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
No, this was
actually.
it had like, I'm really loving this like podcast environment for the fact that it's not, there's no rules, just whatever, just shoot the shit for an hour, and
Right.
it's fun. Like, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
I thrive on listening to
Bullshit
podcasts like this, so that's why I kind of wanted to like craft an environment like this for Calgary, and it's weird because this whole project is not released to the public yet, but when it is, I really want it to catch. I want to not only
Well, it'll be on
Just-
like r/neuro and shit. Like, I'm
yeah,
sure
if
it'll,
you guys can
Yeah,
plug
yeah.
it.
our
Absolutely,
namesake will at
for
least be
sure.
attached to it.
But I think it would be really cool to like open up all of Calgary to not only having a bunch of guests on that we think are interesting, but to have this studio available to other people that want to host their own shit.
yeah.
That'd be
Like,
awesome.
it's something I want to offer, something I want to just like say, here it is as a resource, here it is as something. If you have someone you want to interview, book a time, like come over and,
Oh, yeah.
and do this. Like,
That's
I
awesome.
think Calgary needs it. Like I love the podcast world. I love what it is for.
Free radio everywhere.
Yeah, free. It's pirate radio.
It's
it really
pirate
is.
radio.
Back in the day, this would be pirate radio.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that.
I bet you are.
So I don't know. Yeah, let's wrap it up there because I'm sure people need to go to the
This has
bathroom.
been an amazing time with Frequent and Evoke, Nolan and Alden.
Claps.
Huzzah!
Hey guys, thank you for listening. That was episode 5 of the Genesa ThoughtLab podcast. It was a hell of a lot of fun to record. We had a full audience, as of course I guess you saw or heard. You can find Evoke and his music at evokeofficial.com or on Facebook and SoundCloud. I'm sure he's easy enough to find.
And Frequent also on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/frequentaudio. Both of these artists as well on Bandcamp.
Yes, indeed. Of course, again, we're always looking for suggestions. If you guys want to hit us up, I think we're going to try and have a feedback or comments or contact portion of the website where you guys can just throw in either a suggestion for who you want to see or whether or not you want to be on the podcast or what you think we could do better.
Maybe some of the things we talked about were absolute bullshit and we did not check our
Check our
facts.
privilege. If you were offended in any way, we'd love to hear about it. If you want to just talk shit, I mean, just hit us up. We'd actually probably love to hear from anybody because the website's going to be new. If we see messages and comments coming in,
We'll be stoked.
yeah, we'll probably be stoked. So that concludes our launch series of podcasts. I'm glad we got 5 recorded. I'm not really glad of all of the headaches that we've had trying to edit and get them out. We're definitely late getting them out. But this is a little labor of love. It's something that I'm furiously putting hours and hours into. So don't hate me if I'm not running on a proper time schedule because I'm working my butt off to do this. But it is so much fun. It's amazing. So see you guys soon, and hopefully we can have another one scheduled really quick. Bye.
The Genesa ThoughtLab Video Podcast.